my dear people of Amazonia, my people of the southern Cameroons, accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro. Today is Thursday, and today is the 28th day of the month of August 2025. I am delighted that I got it right this time because in my last production during the live show, I erroneously said 2022 when I was presenting the statistics of the challenges being faced by Southern Cameroonians in the police corps of La République du Cameroun, and reminding them of the fact that despite turning against their own, they have really not been having it easy. And so it is just foolishness and some degree of stupidity to continue to peddle some nonsense that they are calling one and indivisible. So that's it. Actually, today is the 28th of August and the year is 2025. So I was just reiterating for those who came out to ask and who were feeling confused that that presentation was in 2022. No, it was 2025. That was my very last presentation on this platform. That said, I want to say some very quick thing about an issue that a lot of people have been reaching out and asking questions about. This has to do with the lockdown regarding the elections be organized by La République du Cameroun, and that they want to force on our people of the southern Cameroons. I want to point out that it's true that there's a lot of discussion that's still been really ongoing, but I've seen some communique from the self-defense volunteers or the freedom fighters on Ground Zero, and according to that communique, they are saying that the lockdown will run from the eighth day of September right up to the I think I'm seeing right up to the 14th or the 15th of October. So this tells you that this is really above month long. They say Saturdays and Sundays will be free, but the rest of the days will be totally locked down. So I am absolutely not making this announcement because I'm still trying to get some confirmations from here and there to be sure that there is total consensus around all of this. I am unable to answer questions as to whether do I think that that is the way things have to go, because like you should be able to understand this is a multi-stakeholder struggle, and so those people who are on the ground too often, they have reminded us that they are the ones who have an understanding of the situation on the ground, who have a mastery of the situation on the ground, and so therefore the power of decision as to what will really happen on the ground should rest in their hands, and we can only have some kind of consultations with them. And I've said often here, my take is always to make sure that the civilian population, that people are taking good care of themselves, that people are avoiding crossfires, that people do not find themselves at the wrong place at the wrong time or with the wrong company, and that people are taking all measures necessary to stay safe. We are at war, and there are always going to be things like this coming up. And so sometimes, whether we like it or we don't like it, this is what is happening. We have to find a way to stay safe, to stay alive. For me, that is, the most important aspect in this whole thing. So this is something that we should already begin considering. And for that reason, I will call on our people who are in the diaspora, those who are able to do it, assist family members, assist neighbors, assist people who do not have people too out here. I know it's generally hard everywhere, but we need to assist our people to stock at least get basic supplies of food and water and even first aid kits in their homes, so that during this period of a prolonged 1 month lockdown, the people should be able to, stand this without so much struggle. Let us go back to our spirit of solidarity, that spirit of solidarity that defines our lives, that defines us as a people in the southern Cameroons, and ensure that even people, neighbors, community members who don't have children or families abroad should also at least have some little thing that they can, stay with. If you have more than enough, make sure that you are assisting your neighbors. Nobody should go hungry. Nobody should die because they do not have access to basic tablets that they just needed to take to overcome malaria when you have plenty. This is how we will fight together, and this is how we will win together. So this is something that we need to take into total consideration. This particular broadcast is not really meant to be a long broadcast. This is a broadcast just meant to remind us about certain things about where we really, started in this phase of our liberation movement. And so I just want to make a little stop in Kribi. This little stop is informed by the fact that the hypocrisy that animates those people who call themselves our leaders or who call themselves, I want to talk about our so-called elites who call themselves our elites in La République du Cameroon. This hypocrisy is something that we really can never just let go in this fashion. If you look at your screen there, you'll see I had talked about this before, but I'm reiterating it. You see, when Temfa Ofege is putting this there, this is the picture. The gentleman you see in the middle there, he's the son. You see, his name is Miles Diongute. That's the son of Joseph Diongute, the Prime Minister, so-called Prime Minister, head of government of La République du Cameroon. He hails from Bogongo. Bogongo is in the Kondotiti local government area in the southern Cameroons, where oil is drilled, where the roads are about the worst in the entire country, where the people only here they have resources, but they live some of the worst lives you can imagine. The only time they see people run around them is to come and remind them that Paul Biya still needs to be there ad vitam, forever, eternally. Now, Joseph John Gute was in Boya. And while he was in Boya, that was in May, on the 31st of May, he told the people in Boya, when he was asked, that there were never any plans to construct any oil refinery in Kribi, and that the government was rather putting together resources to rehabilitate or reconstruct the Limbe refinery, that's Sonara. But less than a month after, or less than 2 months afterwards, because this was on the 15th of July, they were launching or laying the foundation stone for the construction of an ultra-modern oil refinery in Kribi, alongside with an ultra-modern petroleum products storage company in Kribi. Those twin projects, very expensive projects. But what is amazing is that the coordinator of the construction of the Kribi refinery is the son of Joseph John Gute. So would Joseph John Gute really be telling any one of us that he did not know that when he was speaking on the 31st of May to the people in Boya, he did not know that an oil refinery was going to be constructed in Kribi? When his own son, that is his own son, I'm not saying his relative, I'm not saying his nephew, I'm not saying his cousin, when his own son, who is a director at the National Hydrocarbons Corporation, SNH, was indeed the coordinator for the construction of the Kribi oil refinery. This is amazing. This is not something that they just got up overnight within a few days and decided that it is happening. Then you say he was not aware. So this kind of hypocrisy, this kind of approach that they had adopted, basically feeding our people with lies and illusions when they know the truth, is something that you need to constantly keep in remembrance. These are not people to count on. These are only people who are playing an obstructionist role to make sure that we don't get that freedom that we seek. My dear people, that said, like I pointed out, this is just a communication to remind us of where we started. Right now, I'm going to share with you. This clip I'm sharing with you is a clip from Press Hour, and this is from 2017. When you hear us talk in this clip, at this time that you see me talk, I was actually in Yaoundé, La République du Cameroon. This was at CRTV in Balatu. This was in January 2017. You will realize that the issues that were raising at that time, and that some of the CPDM, members of the CPDM crime syndicates who were there and who were in denial, that those issues have still not been resolved. They are the same exactly as we were describing, as I was describing them at the time. This should inform us of the fact that the people of La République du Cameroon, the government of La République du Cameroon, does not even still take us seriously. Not at all. They still tell themselves they can continue to play games using infiltrators in our ranks, using these members of the CPDM crime syndicates, using so-called elites, using people they appoint in our communities as mayors, as MPs, as senators, and all of those things to cow us to the point that at the end of the day, we end up worse than we went into this liberation movement. This is what informs me. To constantly tell our people we can never again settle for less than we deserve. Because if we do, we will again end up with far less than we settled, like it happened to our forebears in the 1960s. So this is very important. So settle down and enjoy this 8 minutes of broadcast, and I'll be right back.
Yes, I'm saying that the government should not be seen to be playing games with its people. You have talked about signals. The signals that the government has sent out currently appear not to be encouraging. Because when people talk to you about genuine problems, you talk about the recruitment of 1,000 bilingual teachers. Who are bilingual teachers? Yes. Where are they going to teach? Which schools have been created for the teaching of scientific subjects in both French and English? That one doesn't respond to the aspirations of the people on the field. And when at the same time you say 2 billion francs is being given as subventions, this is a thing the government is normally supposed to do without announcement, because it is the duty of the government to provide subventions to those institutions that participate in the education of its people. And then thirdly, when at the same time the government is setting out CPDM elite of the Northwest and Southwest to go to Bamenda, Limbe, and Boya to stage unity matches because they feel that something is happening. Excuse me, I'm responding. Let me just land, Joe. Okay. What I want to say is the government is missing the point. The government should try to understand the people's concern. The people's concern is not putting the unity of Cameroon at stake. No, so if you have articulated that angle, you are missing out on it so completely. Now, so the government should address the issue through dialogue and honesty.
Shouldn't the government send its own elites to go and negotiate peace if there are problems?
Actually, this is what the government has always done. Don't forget that the whole notion and idea of government is to solve problems, either by anticipation or problems as they are raised, or problems that have been left undone. This is unattended to. This is the raison d'etre of all government. And the existence or raising or presentation of problems in the form of strikes or protests is not a fatality. And the government cannot see it as a fatality.
Exactly.
What is a fatality is if the parties, meaning those on the side of the input, meaning those making the demands, and those on the side of output, meaning those processing the demands, have lost sense or have no faith in the social contract.
Positions.
Right. As long as we have, all of us have a collective faith in the social contract, which binds all of us, and that social contract binds both those who carry out the input and those who are doing the output, the government and the government. As long as all of us have faith, collective faith in it, there will always be expected upon us good faith and goodwill.
Exactly.
On the side of the teachers or the lawyers, there has to be good faith and goodwill. Okay. On the side of government, there has to be goodwill. And that is why you just asked the question, how do we appreciate the signs of the government? Okay. I think in good faith and as a matter of goodwill, we have to say the government has made a good faith gesture. Maybe those on the input side would say they want more, which is very normal. But the bottom line is that within the framework of a social contract, there should be good faith and goodwill, and there has to be a sense of appreciation. Otherwise, if we move outside or we try to break the social contract, we are moving outside the box, outside of the system, and if we break it, it creates a dysfunction rather than a function. Okay. And since we want the system is put in place in order to function and protect us and give us the ability to progress, we have no interest collectively, no matter whether you are on the side of the output or the governing or the side of the government, you have no interest in creating a dysfunction, because if there is a dysfunction, everybody loses. Exactly. But if you allow in good faith and goodwill that everything should go ahead, even though you may not be satisfied 100%, exactly, everything moves ahead.
I like
together we will make a solution.
Now, Prof, the take-home point And here we are talking about people who are protesting, who are not pleased with the situation. The government has offered the olive branch. It might not be what they wanted, but it's already something put on the table.
You're right, it's something put on the table. But I would like to be emphatic that the government should mean what they say and say what they mean. But I have a conception, a conviction, that the government is not very convinced about the problems of the so-called Anglophones. Because if the Prime Minister is extending the olive branch and his ministers are behind, holding conferences and shouting down at the same people they want to dialogue with, threatening them, I foresee a situation where they are going to rather push those on the other side of the negotiating table to go to other extremes. I think I'm very convinced.
God forbid.
Yes, I'm very convinced that the two camps might be getting into extremes because the government position too is at another extremity. We don't dialogue with the dome. The government over the years have shown that they are the domes because they have not opened up or recognized that there is a problem. The time is now, and dialogue is the only thing that can resolve any crisis amongst people. Remember, in the early 90s, we talked about dialogue in Cameroon, and it did not work, sorry. It did not work because we're talking about AAC1, AAC2, which culminated. Let me get my point.
I don't want us to go to
What I'm trying to say, Joe, is that because we had a crisis, there was some window dressing for a dialogue. And this dialogue culminated to all the Anglophones meeting in Boya to come out with a resolution, which was thrown also through the window. We are saying that we should not have another replay of the consequences of the negative consequences of the AAC1, AAC2, which led to what we have today as the SAC. So the government should mean what they say and say what they mean and engage in frank dialogue with this.
Let me just say that he who says that in the 1990s the dialogue did not work or there was no dialogue, since he's missing the point, because I happen to have been a member of the tripartite in 1991.
Okay.
And there is nothing today compared to what happened in the 1990s, as all of us will agree. They used to call it in French les années de braise. Look, the 1990s were rougher. But see, through dialogue, through a tripartite framework, of which I was a member because my signature, small signature, is on the final document, they were able to come up with what looked like a working solution. 35 years, 34 years later, we can say that today, Cameroon is a decentralized unitary state. That is the tripartite. Thanks to he who gave the framework, the President Weah. 35 years later, we can say that freedom still abound and everyone is exercising it the way they want. 35 years today, we can say we are still a multi-party system and it's still working. 35 years afterwards today, we can say that this is a free society. This is a society where people are allowed to perfect society. It's not perfect. We are moving towards perfection.
One person at a time. No, one person at a time.
Yes. What I'm trying to say is that we must not misinform the public. I am talking about the stance of the Anglophones who came out with a federal proposal, a federal system, which was thrown.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't wanted to say that the set did not concern the Anglophone.
Unfortunately, our time is up. So, thank you very much. We'll continue the debate after this. Thank you very much for joining us in the program. I know we'll continue the debate after this. See you same time next week.
Well, as you can see for yourselves, this was 2017. January of 2017. Today we're 2025. The same issues that we're talking about here have remained the same. The same call for dialogue that was launched at the time, and people were talking up and down. We needed this change. We needed to sit together to talk. We needed to respect each other. Nothing has changed right to this moment. So now my question to the people of the Southern Cameroons is, when some of you are seated and comfortably telling us, oh, let's go into elections and all of those things, what are you expecting is going to change because of our involvement in foreign elections on our land? This is a question that we all need to ask ourselves. And this is why I have not wasted time telling the venerated man of law, Barrister Akeremuna, put your political capital, use your very furnished address booklet, and go out there to mobilize the international community to look into the challenges faced by your people of the southern Cameroons. That will have a greater impact than going to validate an electoral hold-up in La République du Cameroon and saying that you're trying to, think that that is the channel that will be able to resolve the problems that the people have faced for 64 years and counting. It's the same thing I'm telling O.C. Joshua. And by the way, with O.C. Joshua, I can understand that O.C. Joshua is militantly routing for the interest of La République du Cameroon. That is why he didn't hesitate to sign a petition, rather, that they should bring the people of the Southern Cameroon who are fighting for the freedom of the people and hand them over to an evil genocidal regime like that of Yaoundé. I can't recall the last time O.C. Joshua found time to go down into the hinterlands of the Southern Cameroons to understand the people's challenges. So my people of Ambazonia, when we say these elections are foreign elections, we mean every bit of it. And I want to take this opportunity to let us know, especially those who are drawing behind, we have just one option in this liberation movement. This war, we have one way only. It's the hard way. It's the only way. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep putting in our all. There is no entity before us that the people ever went out to fight for their freedom and ended up without it. If you know anyone, try. Inform me. Let me know. So I'll be coming back now forcefully. I have just tried to make a few adjustments in our studio, so I wanted to use this as a test to ascertain that everything is in order, and so we will resume very regular broadcast with effect from next week or beginning Sunday. So thank you very much for your very kind attention. Again, share this as much as possible that people see this very important background, where we were, where we came from, and what grounds we have covered for all this while, and a clear indication that La République du Cameroon has not moved 1 inch, and they have no intention of ever moving 1 inch. So if we rather fail, imagine what will happen. This is food for thought for all of us. Thank you very much for your very kind attention.